Hey there, cinephiles. Welcome back to Couch Kernels. Today I want to talk to you about an emotion. It can affect your body temperature. It can cause your breath to catch and your heart to beat a little faster. You can feel it towards animals or people or, in a few cases, things. Some crave it, others avoid it. You know what I'm talking about, right? What? That would make some of what I just said really creepy. No, I'm talking about fear.
You're weird.
Sickos? What? Is what? Oh, right. Happy Valentine's Day. Yeah, I'm not dressed up or decked out or any of it. Because I feel that love, the other emotion that does most of what I said a minute ago, should be something that you celebrate or express any day of the year, not just February 14th, regardless of the arbitrary decision of the greeting card companies.
He's angry!
And to that end, we aren't looking at something lovey-dovey today. No, today we're looking at a slasher remake. We're looking at My Bloody Valentine. Alright, so it's still Valentine's themed. What do you want from me? As I said, this one is a remake. It was a toss-up for me as to which version I would do, as I hadn't seen either of them, but the 2009 was much easier to get a hold of than the 1981. Plus, I like Jensen Ackles.
That was scary.
Anyway, on to our criteria for today. Today, we're looking at plot and writing, acting, effects, gimmick, and
Brutality.
Okay. So, 10 years ago, there was a massive accident in the mines in town, where one shaft collapsed, trapping 6 men in the mine.
And they call it a mine. A mine!
After the mine is dug out, they find that 5 of the men didn't make it, but 1 did, and he's comatose. The other 5 men appear to have been killed by a pickaxe, so the belief is that the survivor murdered the other 5 men to prolong his own survival. People are obviously not okay with this, and begin to hope for him not to wake up, rather than have to do a trial when he does. Eventually, the man wakes up and kills everyone in the hospital on his way out, none of which we see. He makes his way back to the mine where there is a party going on. As dumb teenagers find their way deeper into the mine, he begins to pick them off, fairly quickly too. Just as he's about to kill the kid who caused the mine collapse, the sheriff shows up and he and a deputy shoot him. But on top of that, the shaft collapses again, hiding the body of the man. Everything is quiet for 10 years. Some of the teens get married and start families. Basically everybody moves on. Then Tom, the guy who caused the collapse, returns to town having been gone 10 years. He's back to sell the mine which belonged to his dad because his dad has just passed away. However, along with his return, something else seems to have returned, and people are starting to die. Now, this could be a decent premise, but the execution of it is weak and predictable, and some things are heavily yada-yada'd.
Marcy comes over and she tells me that her ex-boyfriend was over late last night, and yada yada yada, I'm really tired today.
And as a result, we won't be giving them a kernel here. Now, our main characters, whose faces we see regularly, include Jensen Ackles as Tom, the traumatized kid who caused the collapse in the first place, Jamie King as Sarah, the girl who loved Tom when he disappeared and settled down since he left, and Kerr Smith as Axel, the former bad boy, now a cop, who married Sarah but is also cheating with another woman. Now, Jensen is always good and plays the character's trauma well. On an unrelated note, this came out before the end of the 4th season of Supernatural, and a Season 5 episode shares its name. Jamie King plays a fairly typical final girl, and sadly doesn't really bring much to the table past that. And Kerr Smith, like I said, he's cheating on his wife, but they portray him as the hero. He hates his town, doesn't respect his wife, and is quick to blame everything going wrong on a guy he's nursed a grudge against for 10 years. He's not a hero. He's a fucking asshole. I digress. No kernel. So, an important note to the effects here. This movie was released theatrically in 3D. And while it released in 2009, it was early 2009. James Cameron's Avatar hadn't brought us real D 3D yet. So anybody watching this thing was wearing a pair of these. Fuck, no thanks. So anyway, along with these horrible glasses that are uncomfortable in multiple ways, filmmakers figured the very best way to make use of the 3D technology was to throw as many things at the screen as possible, especially when they were doing a horror movie. This movie is no exception. The pickaxe is swung at the screen no less than 4 times. In fact, every shot where they play with the 3D here is hammy. It might be better if the editor had cut the shots a little shorter rather than having these items stay in tableau for a fraction of a second too long, but it would be better if they just hadn't done the thing in 3D. I watched it in 2D, and I truly don't think the effect would have added anything to the experience. There are obviously other things to talk about here, like the gore. The gore is actually not bad. Decently believable. No jellied cranberries being thrown around or anything, but also nothing too CGI heavy, which would date the film badly since I doubt they'd have gotten the best quality of 2009 CGI with this one. But even though the gore is good, the 3D shots are so bad that they're losing this thing a kernel all on their own. So, how about the gimmick? And what do I mean by that? Well, every slasher franchise has a gimmick. Candyman shows up when you say his name 5 times.
Candyman. 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 Candyman.
Jason Voorhees wears the hockey mask and terrorizes horny teenagers with a machete. Michael Myers wears a pale Captain Kirk mask and kills people several different ways, but seems to favor a knife. Freddy Krueger kills teenagers in their dreams. The point is, everyone has their shtick, and it works fine as long as they don't stray from it. The other thing about these gimmicks is that they make sense with the backstories we're given for these slasher icons. Now, does the miner have a gimmick? Yes. At the start, he sticks around the mine, but that disappears pretty quickly, so I don't think we can count that as part of it. What we can count is that he removes the heart of each of his victims. And we never get an explanation as to why. Not really. Also, these hearts come out in pretty immaculate shape considering he's not a trained surgeon, and he's doing the surgery with no anesthetic, occasionally on living victims, and with a fucking pickaxe. Right. I buy that. We're not giving a kernel for that. Now, this criteria is special for slasher flicks. I mean, the reason we watch them is for the brutal ways some of the victims die, right? So let's talk about the
Brutality.
It starts pretty early with this one. The first person we see get killed is one of the teens at the party, and he gets a pickaxe through the back of his head with it coming out the front with his eyeball on it. A short while later, but still less than 15 minutes into the movie, a girl gets her head cleaved in 2 horizontally with a shovel.
Damn!
10 years later, we see a little person get a pickaxe up through her chin and out the top of her head. She also gets jammed up through a fluorescent light. It's a bit much, really. She was already pretty clearly dead. Later still, when Tom is visiting the mine to talk to the buyer, a guy gets a pickaxe through his forearm, which just... You ever look at something like that and you can sort of feel it? Yeah, I felt that one. This movie does really well on the brutal nature of the kills. It's not as good as some of the ones in Freaky, but definitely not too bad. We can give him a kernel. Now let's tip out our bucket and see what we have. We have 1 kernel. If I'd stuck with the usual criteria, this one wouldn't have even gotten that much, but this would also have probably been a 2-minute video, so Honestly, it's not a noteworthy movie. If you're a hardcore slasher fan, give it a look, but other than that, I really can't recommend it, and even then it would probably be a stretch. Now, let's move on to Name That Frame. First, we'll reveal the movie from my Air and Monster Calls videos. That movie was Star Wars Episode 4: A New Hope. Did you get it? Shout out to those who did. And now, let's start a new round. If you look at my screen, we have a still from a new movie or TV show. Know what it is? Comment below. You have a few videos to come up with an answer, and if you have any other comments, questions, or ideas, feel free to leave those down there too. I try to answer everything. That's it for... What? You're still on that? Okay, fine. I didn't really give you a good Valentine's video. I'll see if I can come up with something that will make it up to you for the next video. Stay tuned, folks. Should be a good one. Bye.